Good evening and welcome to the Coffeyville City Commission meeting for Tuesday, October 10th, 2017. Tonight's invocation will be led by Mary Wilson. Please stand for the invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Father, we come tonight thanking you for the many blessings that you have given to us. This community to live in is a real joy. It has so many things for us to do. We want to thank you for the volunteers that stepped forward to take the reins of this city and to help us along our journey. We thank you for the staff who work hard and lots of times don't feel appreciated, I'm sure, and we do appreciate them. They help us keep our things going, and our city manager does a very good job too. We ask your blessings on the people who are here tonight and to those who are listening. And dear God, hear our prayers. Guide our commissioners tonight that they may listen and make wise decisions for this community. Those who are listening, remember there are lots of jobs available, and you can be even a bigger part of this community if you volunteer for some of them, as some of our people are doing. We have a number of people stepping forward to be commissioners again. Help them. We thank you for this opportunity to come to you, to bless you. And we thank you for our servicemen who have served, and be with those who are still serving, and be with their families. We have so many people in this country that are hurting, the people in California with all the fires and the rainstorms and the things go on, the list goes on and on. Help us though, Lord, to turn this to you more frequently. May this be a Christian name as we ask your blessings on this meeting tonight. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Mary. Moving into the consent agenda, City Commission meeting minutes for Tuesday, September 27, 2017, and 2017 appropriation ordinance number AO-17-19 in the amount of $1,639,797.77. Are there any questions or amendments that need to be made to these two items?
No, and I'd make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion was made by Commissioner Taylor and seconded by Mayor Bauer to approve the consent agenda as presented. Commissioner Castler.
Aye.
Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Taylor.
Aye.
Mayor Bauer.
Aye. 2017 appropriation ordinance number AO-17-19A, Taylor Crane, for $17.18. Questions or comments on this agenda item?
Move to approve AO 1719A.
Second.
Motion was made by Commissioner Williams and seconded by Mayor Bauer to approve appropriation ordinance number AO-17-19A for adoption. Mayor Bauer.
Aye.
Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Castler.
Aye.
Commissioner Taylor.
Abstain.
Moving into public hearings, special presentation and proclamations. For the CDBG application for improvements to 10th Street, Public Works Director Chuck Shively will make comments.
Mayor, Commissioners, as you know, I've been working with the Southeast Kansas Regional Planning Commission and Trans Systems Corporation on an application for 10th Street between Camden Street and Gillum Street. One of the requirements for the grant application is to hold a public hearing to receive public input on the proposed grant. Then we will need to approve a resolution authorizing submittal of the grant application and dedicating $400,000 of city funds as our match for the grant. Then also to approve a resolution to assure that we'll maintain the street after it's built. And then finally, the next agenda item is to approve a resolution authorizing an agreement with the Southeast Kansas Regional Planning Commission to administer the grant if our application is successful. Susan Gailmore from the Planning Commission is here this evening if you have any questions for her about the application or the grant administration. Then later in the meeting, I'll have 4 other related resolutions for engineering services for the water line and the street projects within the grant area, and then the area to the west to Buckeye. So unless you have any other questions, I recommend that you open the public hearing, followed by the approval of the first 3 resolutions.
At this time, I'll open it to public hearing. Seeing no comments, I will close the public hearing. Thank you. Resolution number R-17-76, a resolution to certify authority to apply for 2018 Kansas Small Community Cities Community Development Block Grant. And we can put 17, 76, 77, and 78 can all be approved into one motion.
So when you open it up, do they all have to be opened up to the public?
No,
Okay.
the grant application had to be open for
Okay.
a public hearing.
Okay.
As far as the
Okay.
resolutions, the public
Okay.
hearing is done, so.
Okay, any questions?
So, resolution number R-17-76, a resolution to certify authority to apply for the 2018 Kansas Small Cities Community Development Block Grant, and
Yeah, I'll read through them. I didn't read through all of them. So Resolution R-17-77 is a resolution to assure funds will be provided for maintenance of street improvement financed with CDBG funds. And then Resolution number R-17-78, a resolution to execute an agreement with Southeast Kansas Regional Planning Commission for administration of the CDBG.
Okay,
Sorry, I should have read through all of them.
that's all.
well, I was trying to figure out if,
We're gonna do it with one motion, correct?
Correct.
Okay, any questions?
no, I'm
Okay.
good.
No questions.
I'd make a motion to approve those resolutions, R-17-76 and 77 and 78.
Second.
Motion was made by Commissioner Taylor and seconded by Commissioner Castler to approve resolutions number R-17-76, 77, and 78 for adoption. Mayor Bauer,
Aye.
Commissioner Taylor,
Aye.
Commissioner Williams,
Aye.
Commissioner Castler.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chuck.
Moving into old business, ordinance number G-17-05, a second reading of an ordinance to amend the employee residency requirements. Kendall Francis will be available to answer questions.
Have,
Okay,
go ahead, I'm sorry.
just simply to say there have been no changes since the first reading. If you need any clarifications or anything like that,
Can we just reinstate what the boundaries was so everybody can remember?
it is a 40-minute drive. It's 25 miles with a 40-minute response time.
25 miles?
Within Kansas.
Right.
And that's
And
20,
that is, sorry.
it's a 25-mile radius.
An arc anyway.
Radius except for Oklahoma, I
Yeah.
mean,
In-state only, 25 miles, 40-minute response time. That is for all employees except department heads, which are spelled out, who can live within the USD 445 boundaries. And then the city manager must live within the corporate city limits of Coffeyville.
That's what I remember it as also. I'll make a motion to approve ordinance number G-17-05.
I'll second it.
Motion was made by Mayor Bauer and seconded by Commissioner Taylor to approve ordinance number G-17-05 for adoption. Commissioner Williams,
Aye.
Commissioner Castler,
Aye.
Commissioner Taylor,
Aye.
Mayor Bauer.
Aye. Resolution number R-17-71, a resolution to sell real estate located at 1401 West 8th to Jim Lindsay. City Manager Kendall Francis will make comments.
Mayor and Commission, this was tabled at our last meeting. It was brought back, you wanted some more information, which over the course of the last couple of weeks, I have provided from Mr. Lindsay. He is here tonight, would like to make some comments. And just to refresh your memory, this is for the property at 1401 West 8th, which is currently our customer service facility at 8th and Buckeye. We asked for RFPs for its disposal. 2 were received. After evaluating them, we made the recommendation to approve Mr. Lindsay's offer of $43,000 to purchase the facility. And again, Mr. Lindsay is here and would like to make some comments.
Mayor, while he's coming
Point of
up,
order, before we can even discuss this, we have
need
to have a
remove
motion.
it from the
We have-
table,
Right,
yes.
we have to have a
We
motion.
can
Yes.
vote on it, yes.
We have to have a motion to,
Correct. And
remove
I-
it from the
I
table.
failed to put that on the
Okay.
motion sheet.
so I make a motion that we remove this item from the table and bring it back up for discussion.
Second.
Motion was made by Commissioner Williams and seconded by Mayor Bauer to remove from the table resolution number R-17-71. Commissioner
It was seconded by Commissioner Castler.
Castler?
Yes,
I'm
sir.
sorry.
Ma'am.
You're on it tonight, aren't you?
He is. He's right on top of it, isn't he?
Laser focus.
Commissioner Castler.
Aye.
Mayor Bauer.
Aye.
Commissioner Taylor.
Aye.
Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
All right. Welcome, Jim.
Thank you. Good evening, Honorable Mayor Paul Bauer, Commissioners Castler, Taylor, and Williams, staff, and the fine citizens of Coffeyville, Kansas, the hometown of the Hall family, birthplace of my dear mother, Verna Hall Lindsay, who became a celebrity in the movie industry, recording industry, crusade evangelist, up to 80,000 people, spoke across the world and America, and television host. I seek to purchase my mother's birthplace. I'd like to share with you a little bit about why I'm in my uniform. I understand that there were some California investors who did some dirty deeds and disappointed Coffeyville, and I wore my uniform to show that I stand for integrity and everything that is decent and moral in society and in the sight of God. I also stand for the Hall family. I am first cousin, once removed, of Carlton Hall, great nephew of Dr. William C. Hall, who operated on Emmett Dalton, my mother's uncle. And 1407 West 8th Street is where my mother was born. My grandfather, Cary Hall, built the house there. All my uncles and my aunt, my mother, were born there. Next door was 1405 West 8th, which was the Hall Music Store that my grandparents built, and where the bank now stands is where my great-grandmother Hannah Hall lived. And so this land is very important to me, and I pledge that I will repair the bank building, the roof, and all the other repairs that need to be done, and rent it out, hopefully to the Teachers Credit Union. And if not them, then someone else. But I will put it in good repair and put it to use. And I think that kind of explains what I would like to do, and that I'm a man of my word. I will do what I said.
Well, thank you. Thank you for coming and addressing some of the questions that we had as a commission, because as you stated, there has been some concerns in the past with previous investors of Coffeyville. We still have some buildings that need some repair due to investors that have come here and approached the city in that fashion. So, thank you. I commend you for that.
Do you have any questions?
No, so you're saying that where the bank building is now in the corner, there was a house there. Obviously, there were houses there, but that was your family.
That's correct.
Okay,
My great-grandmother lived where the bank is.
okay.
Next to that was the Hall Music Store, then my mother's house where she was born. And my great-uncle, Dr. Hall, delivered all of my mother's siblings and my mother.
I see, and then he worked on one of the Daltons.
Yes, he did. And Emmett Dalton and he stayed in touch through the rest of their lives.
So Emmett's the one that lived?
Yes.
Interesting.
And I had the privilege of being at the Dalton Museum yesterday and holding the Grat rifle, which my cousin Carlton donated to the Dalton Museum.
Wow, that's interesting.
So
That
I
is
have very
interesting.
strong family ties to Coffeyville, and am very delighted that I've been pretty well ingrained already by participating in the city events, and I seek to be more ingrained into the city life, hopefully with a program on the radio station. And I am seeking to purchase a second residence here in Coffeyville.
Great, Jim.
Yep.
Okay, well, that answers some questions. Nothing like showing up, and there was some talk about it at the last meeting, and it's really good just to see you here and hear some of the story, and so we're happy about that.
Well, thank you. And this concludes my briefing.
Thank you. I think we're done with you.
Okay. And I'm done with you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jimmy. Thank you, Jim. Welcome to Coffeyville. Now, you gonna be living here, or?
I would like to have a second residence.
Okay. Okay.
Any other
All
questions from the
right.
commission?
I move to approve resolution number R-1771, a resolution to sell real estate located at 1401 West 8th to Jim Lindsay.
I'll second.
Motion was made by Commissioner Williams and seconded by Mayor Bauer to approve resolution number R-17-71 for adoption. Commissioner Taylor.
Aye.
Mayor Bauer.
Aye.
Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Castler.
Aye.
Moving on to new business, resolution number R-17-67, a resolution to execute a water purchase contract with RWD Rural Water District Number 6, Labette County. Public Works Director Chuck Shively will make comments.
Mayor and Commissioners, the City of Coffeyville Water Utilities sells water to 5 rural water districts and 2 other cities. Over the past few years, we've been revising the water purchase contracts as they expire or if requested by the customer. The revisions include placing all of the agreements into a standard format with substantially the same terms and conditions as the other contracts, plus any other needed modifications that are specific to that customer. The original water purchase contract with Labette Number 6 was entered into in 1967 and revised in 1980. We met with representatives of the district and are proposing the contract that I included with my staff report. The term of the proposed contract is 5 years from the effective date and will automatically extend for successive 5-year periods unless either party notifies the other at least 90 days prior to the expiration of the original term or any extensions thereto. Other modified terms of the contract include clarification of the billing procedures and the City of Coffeyville's rights to protect the quantity and quality of the water supply in the case of an emergency failure of water supply to Coffeyville. The Rural Water District approved the agreement at their meeting yesterday, so I recommend that you approve this resolution authorizing the mayor to execute the proposed water purchase contract between the City of Coffeyville and Rural Water District Number 6, Labette County, Kansas. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
I have a couple questions. How do we price water?
It's approved by resolutions of the city commission, or by ordinance before, now it's resolution, right?
So what I'm asking is, how do we price water? Do we sell it by the gallon or?
Oh, per 1,000 gallons, I'm sorry.
Okay, per
I
1,000
misunderstood.
gallons. The per 1,000 gallon rate that we're selling water, has it increased or decreased since the last contract with this water district?
It has increased, but this contract spells out that it will increase at the same percentage as the water users in the City of Coffeyville.
Okay,
So when we raise the rates, it raises.
okay.
And that's making us a little money, I guess. What can we say about that?
That was my next question.
Just so the people know.
Are we making are we making a profit by this contract?
Yeah, I mean, yes, because if we weren't selling that water at the price we're selling it, to make that much additional water costs us less than what they're paying us for it, yes.
You looked at all that.
Yes.
Okay.
And this-
Well, we don't get a chance to talk to about it,
And-
you know, other than here really, Chuck, unless we
No,
Didn't,
that's
do that.
didn't we just do one of these just a couple meetings ago? So I would assume that this was gonna be the
This
same.
is the same
the one we talked
that
about
They
then.
turned it down at their meeting because they wanted to discuss with me a couple items on it.
Okay,
Turned
I
out,
knew we
once I
talked about one a
explained
couple
it,
meetings
they were
ago.
happy with it and they approved it last
okay.
night, so.
I don't have any more questions.
We'll move the resolution to approve R-17-67.
Second.
Motion was made by Commissioner Castler and seconded by Mayor Bauer to approve resolution number R-17-67 for adoption. Commissioner Taylor,
Aye.
Mayor Bauer,
Aye.
Commissioner Castler,
Aye.
Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Resolution number R-17-74, a resolution to execute an agreement with Johnson Controls Incorporated to provide an investment-grade energy audit. City Manager Kendall Francis will make comments.
Mayor and Commissioners, at our last meeting, you heard a presentation from Johnson Controls Incorporated regarding the services that we have been discussing with them in regards to energy efficiencies as well as the possible installation of an automated metering infrastructure system. And at the last meeting, we got the consensus to move forward with that project. We come back tonight to get approval on the first step, which is this investment grade audit. Essentially, what it will do is determine the feasibility for moving forward with this project. And for JCI to begin this audit, they're going to have to do a few things. They'll be here looking at the majority of the city facilities, at lighting, at HVAC systems, to determine where we can gain efficiencies and save money. Also, part of this will be the test replacement, I guess, of, let me see, the removal of about 125 water meters and replacing them with new ones. They will take those meters and test them for efficiencies, and from that determine, help to determine the feasibility for this project. What we're asking for tonight does, in practicality, commit us to a maximum payout of $50,000 should we choose to no longer move forward with the project once this audit is completed. But that money, for that price, we will actually receive about 125 brand new water meters that will be in place in the system and operable. However, should we choose to move forward with the project, that cost will be rolled into the total cost of the project and spread out over the life of the financing. I guess I'd entertain any questions to help refresh your memory about anything. Johnson Controls is here to answer any questions you might have. They've been here this week already working on visiting with staff, getting information on rates and billing, and already looking at facilities and some of the preliminaries for this audit.
Okay. So I have two questions. The first one that I've been asked is currently have 2 meter readers. What happens to those 2 meter readers? Do they get, we may eliminate the position, but we're not going to eliminate the person. Would they be absorbed in another area?
We definitely will look to absorb definitely one of those positions, be transitioned into something else that we're hoping to move towards. The second position I'll be honest, I don't know at this time. Between now and the time this project comes to fruition, should we move forward, we're looking 12 to 18 about 18 months probably from today. We would anticipate just through attrition, having other openings that we could transition people into that position. We did just hire a meter reader, just started Monday. That person is aware of what we're doing. They were fully aware when they took the position that we're going to be transitioning things, and they were willing to take the position knowing that there was no guarantee at the end of it that there would be a position available.
Okay. So my second question is, after we go through the study, we'll call it a study, or that's what I'll call it.
Right.
And Johnson Control comes back to us and they say, sorry, there's no opportunity here. Where do we go from there?
We still have traditional financing routes available to us, things that we had been preparing for prior to finding out about the FCIP program and the services that Johnson Control provides. We have already earmarked, for lack of a better word, money with the state revolving, the public water supply revolving loan fund. So that money is being held for the water portion of the AMI system. And then we would look at the better of two options for the electric side, whether that would be a bond type financing or probably a lease purchase financing, because by the time you pay for bond counsel and things like that, the rates aren't typically competitive. But we've already had been looking at traditional financing options prior to this.
But, so just to be clear, so tonight, if we approve this, then $50,000 is what we're spending tonight.
And max.
Max
Ma-
$50,000.
Right, and Johnson Controls will tell you too that, you know, if we stop after first week, it's not 50,000, it's just whatever,
Sure.
you know, increment that they have placed, you know,
Okay.
they have them involved, so.
I have a question for Johnson Controls. If you could come up here,
David?
that way folks can hear you. Has there ever been a time that you've done a study, his words, not mine,
Yeah, I got you.
a study on a city's infrastructure, water, electric, where you did not see an opportunity to move forward?
Absolutely, yeah, that happens.
How often?
You know, percentage-wise, it's pretty small because we do a preliminary before we ever get this point, like we did a audit study just based off of standard published information, just to see if there's an idea, but it does happen. I mean, we can actually go in and find out that, you know what, the meters are as efficient as they can be, not as inefficient as what we think they are, right? So at that point, if we go in and we find out that there's no opportunity here, then that $50,000 gets waived. You don't owe us
Okay.
anything, right? So.
Okay, so.
That's what I was,
That's what,
wondering.
so,
Yeah.
so if you
Guess I didn't
do,
ask it the right way.
if you do a study and you take all these meters and you guys are like, man, you guys are running really proficient,
Yeah.
and there's just no way
That's
for
on
us
us.
to,
It's
so
on
we
us.
don't owe you a dime.
That's right, you don't owe us a dime.
We even get the meters for free?
Well, you would owe us just for whatever the hard cost of those meters are,
Right.
up to that. So
And that, what he said is spelled out in the contract.
that is correct.
Yes.
Yep,
Okay.
yep.
So there really isn't that big of a risk.
Right.
Okay.
That's what it sounds like.
Because
Other
those,
than
because
meters are
those
gonna-
meters would
Right.
need to be replaced, whether we go through this program or something we do
Right.
So-
completely different.
And
Then-
we will be working with Chuck and that team to make sure that the meters that we put in, even for test, are something that you're gonna want if something,
Okay,
if
so-
for whatever reason we don't go forward.
So we're gonna get 125 meters?
Approximately,
It's
yeah.
approximately,
Yeah.
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 Let's use the number of,
Yeah.
let's do,
It's a statistical sampling.
okay,
Right.
125 meters. How much does a meter cost?
It depends on whether it's electric or, electric or water.
Well, and sizing, right?
Right.
So we're gonna have a mixture. I know we're gonna have 66 residential meters that are the 5/8, I believe, but then we'll have some that are larger, right? So the 2-inch, so like 1.5, 2-inch meters, they cost more. I don't know exactly what those are.
Ballpark.
$200 maximum,
Yeah, something like that.
you
yeah.
know, an average 200 times, 100, so 20,000.
Okay.
Again, which is something
Yeah.
that we would have expended, we will expend regardless.
Right.
Okay.
You introduced me to Doug a while ago, and I forgot your name, I'm sorry.
Dave Valines.
Dave.
Yep.
Is there anything else you want to talk about while you're here?
No,
I mean,
we
that we
just,
need to know, or the public needs to know, or
not,
anything?
not that I can think of. I mean, I'm certainly here to answer any question that anybody has as
Dave,
far as that.
I didn't mean, could you speak to a little bit about what you're doing on the street lighting side? Because there is some other work, some
Yes.
benefits
Yep.
that we're getting from the work that they're doing.
Right, so we're doing a couple different things. One, we're doing a propagation study that works with the AMI that, when you put antennas up, can it reach the different meters and that sort of thing? So we're doing that. We're looking at, when we're talking about streetlights, some of those streetlight poles may be able to be used for AMI infrastructure as well. So basically it's an antenna, if you will, where it picks up signals from the meters. So that's one thing. And then on the streetlights alone, we're doing a GIS study, which basically what that is, we're locating poles, right? So we're identifying poles, we're identifying light fixtures, doing all that. That's part of the study we have to do because and there's nothing wrong with this. Is typical. There's not good enough data to really, we don't know exactly how many light fixtures there are, what kind there are, what size of bulbs are in each fixture. And again, that's nothing against that's just normal.
Yeah.
right?
Engineering, just engineering.
That's just, it's just engineering, right? So we have to do a lot of that, and that takes a lot of time. We physically have to go to every light pole and identify what fixtures up there, where the pole's located, so all that data gets put, I want to say spreadsheet, it's a little bit more than that, a lot more detailed than that, but then the city retains all that. So it's a pretty large engineering study on the streetlights.
Okay, and that has something to do with reading the meters?
No,
Oh,
that's
that-
just on the streetlight portion of it.
Oh, that's
Right.
just,
Yeah, because,
okay.
I mean,
Yeah.
we're also
Okay.
looking at
So-
wrapping in, transitioning to LED street lighting as part of this
Okay.
overall project.
I thought maybe somehow
But
that
we're-
was the antenna for the meter reading.
But we're gonna walk away with all that data that we don't have, that we need to have.
But you bring up a good point, and I wanna touch on that as well. We have to do the same thing on the water meters as well, because again, we've gotta locate them, we gotta know where everything's at, we gotta know what's in the pit, what's connected to them, to make sure there's, is there any lead pipe? All those sorts of things are all part of this original study that gets pretty expensive, quite
Yep.
honestly.
So I guess I have, two more questions. So,
Okay.
when we talked about the water meters in the past, you said that they were battery operated and they had a battery in them that were 20-year batteries,
20
something like
20
that.
year- The new
So-
ones, yeah.
Right, so, I know not every meter is underwater, but is that a concern at all? Because a lot of our meters around town are gonna be underwater, probably 99% of the time, other than when they get pumped out to be read.
Yeah.
Right? That's not a
Again-
concern?
Again, you're a typical city. No,
Right.
they're designed for that.
Okay.
They're designed to fit down the pit, so they can handle the cold, they can handle the wet, all those great things that they have to deal with. Yep.
And my other question was, so with the smart metering system and it working through, I'm assuming you said an antenna of some
Right,
sort.
yeah,
Is that gonna have any problem with our city Wi-Fi?
No,
It won't interfere in any way? Have we checked into double?
We do have, I think the correct answer is no. There's two different systems, one that has they operate on the 900 megahertz
Right, and that's-
system, which our Wi-Fi does.
Yep.
There is a system that has a dedicated frequency, one of the systems. But Chris feels fairly confident that we won't see any kind of interruption that way.
Okay.
right. And those are things that's a great question, as a matter of fact. So we have to be careful with that. So in this study that we're just talking about, this investment grade audit, those are the things we'll be working through with Chris and the city team to make sure none of that does happen. What's the best fit? Matter of fact, there is a meter training coming up sometime.
Next week,
Next week.
Monday.
Okay, so there is a workshop that we'll be putting on, and we're gonna be talking about those very things.
Okay.
This is what this meter does, these are some of the issues that could come from it, good and bad of every one, because we don't make meters, right?
Right.
So we're agnostic when it comes to that, but we've installed them all, so we know what works best. We're just gonna kind of lay out the pros and cons of each one.
Okay.
And we've done quite a bit of research
Yep.
up to this point.
Right,
I mean,
yep.
so we're coming in pretty well versed in the different systems.
Yep.
And, but he's right, we have a day blocked off to
Yep.
discuss these very things.
Okay.
So what if we have one person that's confident that it won't interfere with the Wi-Fi? What if it does? Then what do? We've just spent $50,000 or what?
No, we won't let that happen. Again, through these workshops and this development stage, we will have all that figured out. Because there are different, like Kendall said, he already alluded to, there are different types of meters and they work off different frequencies. So we're gonna make sure whatever is installed doesn't in effect with Chris and what he's doing with the citywide Wi-Fi. And Chris is pretty heavily involved in all this development, because we know that,
Chris?
Chris Felix.
Felix.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, our guys, I mean, they do this all the time, so they'll know. I mean, again, Chris, that's a great question. But they work all that stuff out in advance.
These guys are coming up with some good questions.
Yeah, they are. No,
And like I
that's
said,
great.
these are things we've been working on months, 6, 8 months prior to talking with JCI. And internally, we're leaning towards a system with a specified frequency. Now, we haven't got to that point yet, but that's the direction we're leaning.
Well, we've been real impressed
What-
with, go ahead.
What guarantee do we have that this isn't gonna interfere? Is it in the contract too? Because if it does, someone needs to be held responsible this time. And they will be held responsible this time.
Yeah, and that responsibility will fall back on us, because you already have the system in place, the Wi-Fi system that is already working system. So now we have that level that we know we have to work around, either above that band or below that band where it doesn't interfere. And there'll be tests out there before we go through and put the complete system in. There are going to be tests in the frequency and the receiving to make sure that there is nothing like that's going to happen. So yeah, that risk does come back on us.
And that's specified in the contract.
Yeah, it doesn't specify that
It's not in this,
exact thing, but
not in the investment grade audit. It
yeah,
doesn't.
and not in the audit
But
part,
when
in the
we-
contract.
right,
If
when we
that's
go
something
for-
you want in the contract, absolutely, we can put that language in there.
Okay.
Yep,
When we move forward after the
right,
study.
yeah,
Yeah.
Right.
yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes,
So
thank you.
Dave, are you sales or? I
I'm
mean,
both.
You introduced me to Doug a while ago. Is Doug gonna be,
He's a project manager that will be overseeing everything going on in here, so.
There's an army of these people running around here.
well, I
Yeah,
just thought,
He brings somebody new every time.
I know,
okay. Well, we appreciate you guys coming down from, both of you from Kansas City, Lenexa.
right, yeah.
And then we have a safe trip home.
All right, well, I'm gonna stay here for a few days.
Oh, are you? Oh, you're
I'm
here?
gonna be-
Okay.
I'm gonna be bugging Kendall and
Okay.
Stephanie and Chris and.
Okay, good.
all
That's
those
what we
folks,
need.
so, yeah,
That's
right.
great.
All right, thank you guys.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. Any other questions from the commission? I'll make a motion to approve Resolution R-17-74 for adoption.
I'll second.
Motion was made by Mayor Bauer and seconded by Commissioner Taylor to approve resolution number R-17-74 for adoption. Commissioner Castler.
Aye.
Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Taylor.
Aye.
Mayor Bauer.
Aye. Resolution number R-17-75, a resolution to approve change order number 2 to Goins Enterprises for the Acme Foundry Waterline Improvement Project. Engineering Superintendent Thomas Osborne. Looks like you're going to be making those comments tonight, Judd. So,
I just didn't want my name on there too many times.
right.
This item is for change order number 2 to the contract with Goins Enterprises for the Acme Waterline Replacement Project that we're doing ahead of the Acme Street Replacement Project. It was bid based on unit prices times the estimated quantities to be installed. This change order modifies the contract to reflect the unit prices times the actual quantities installed. It results in a project cost decrease of $28,747.82. So I recommend approval of change order number 2 to the contract with Goins Enterprises.
I never see a problem when we're saving money.
Usually not.
No.
Okay, you know all about it, Chuck, it's a
Oh, yeah.
good deal, I mean,
Yeah.
okay.
The project is substantially complete at this point.
Good,
This is just squaring up the numbers.
good, Chuck. All right,
Make a motion.
no question.
have a
I'll make a motion to approve it, the resolution as read, R-1775.
Second.
Motion was made by Commissioner Taylor and seconded by Commissioner Castler to approve resolution number R-17-75 for adoption. Mayor Bauer,
Aye.
Commissioner Taylor,
Aye.
Commissioner Castler,
Aye.
Commissioner Williams.
Aye. Resolution number R-17-79, a resolution to execute a work authorization for train system for potential CDBG Grant Street Improvement Project on 10th Street from Camden to Gillum. Public Work Director Chuck Shively will make comments.
This resolution authorizes the execution of the work authorization to Trans Systems Corporation, which is our engineering firm on this project. Sean Turner of Trans Systems is here this evening if you have any questions of him. This one is for the street improvement project on 10th Street from Camden Street to Gillum Street, which is the CDBG grant application project. And this agreement is contingent upon receiving that CDBG grant project.
Questions from the commission?
Nope.
Seeing none, I'll make a motion to approve resolution number R-17-79 for adoption.
I'll second it.
Motion was made by Mayor Bauer and seconded by Commissioner Taylor to approve resolution number R-17-79 for adoption. Commissioner Williams,
Aye.
Commissioner Castler,
Aye.
Commissioner Taylor,
Aye.
Mayor Bauer.
Aye. Resolution number R-17-80, resolution to execute a work authorization for train system for potential CDBG grant waterline replacement project on 10th Street from Washita to Gillum.
Whenever we do a project like this, we try to replace the water lines so we don't build a new street over an old water line. And we usually relocate it into the right-of-way out from under the pavement. This resolution is with work authorization with Trans Systems Corporation for design and inspection for the water line replacement in the CDBG grant area.
I think that's a great idea. I mean, not that I want my yard torn up, but I'd rather have my yard torn up than the street in front of my house torn up.
Yeah.
So-
And if you'll notice, there's a difference. The street project is Camden to Gillum.
Yep.
And this water line is Washita to Gillum. That's because we had already replaced Camden to Washita.
Okay. Any questions from the commission?
I have no questions. And I'd make a motion to approve resolution R-17 for adoption. R-17-80 for adoption.
Second.
Motion was made by Commissioner Taylor and seconded by Mayor Bauer to approve resolution number R-17-80 for adoption. Commissioner Williams,
Aye.
Mayor Bauer,
Aye.
Commissioner Taylor,
Aye.
Commissioner Castler,
Aye.
Resolution number R-17-81, a resolution to execute a work authorization for train system for street improvement project on 10th Street from Gillum to Buckeye. Public Work Director Chuck Shively will make comments.
If you'll remember at the last meeting, I discussed with you that we had to stop the CDBG project at Gillum because of the location of the new emergency services building, and that we were gonna go ahead and do Gillum to Buckeye with city funds. And that's what this is for, is design and inspection of the street project from Gillum to Buckeye.
Okay,
Any questions?
I have no questions. I'll have to go ahead and make a motion to approve Resolution R-17-81 for adoption.
Go ahead.
Second.
Motion was made by Commissioner Taylor and seconded by Commissioner Castler to approve resolution number R-17-81 for adoption. Commissioner Taylor,
Aye.
Mayor Bauer,
Aye.
Commissioner Williams,
Aye.
Commissioner Castler.
Aye.
Resolution number R-17-82, a resolution to execute a work authorizations for Trans System for a water line replacement project on 10th Street from Gillum to Buckeye. Chuck Shively will make comments.
And finally, this resolution is for the engineering services for the Gillum Street to Buckeye water line.
Okay,
Questions?
I got a question, kind of, Trans Systems, now their competitor, is that the one out of Joplin that we're always hiring?
Trans Systems office is in Independence.
Right.
They're a larger firm.
But their competitor is,
Well, Alger Martin we use a lot
Right.
of times also.
and so both of them bid on it?
In the case of this one, no. We have an existing engineering services agreement with Trans Systems. And in the case of this, Trans Systems has been assisting us doing the preliminary engineering report for the grant, so they have all the data.
I
If we
see.
went through the whole selection process, odds
I see.
are they would get it.
I
And what
see.
we're doing in this case, because we get extra points in the grant also when they rate it for readiness, and one of the readiness items is that we already have an agreement for the design services before we
And you've-
submit the grant.
Obviously, you got, you and staff feel that their pricing is fair.
And yes, and they were the same firm that did the Ninth Street project also.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Nope.
I'll make-
But I do have one. Why are we separating all these?
We had to separate the CDBG totally from the non-CDBG because we couldn't CDBG funds.
I see.
So that splits it into two, and then the water line project is paid from our water capital
Okay.
improvement, and the street is paid from our transportation capital improvement.
Well, I figured it was all something like that. I just
Yeah.
wanted to make sure everybody kind of knew, and I kind of knew, and all this and that. I'd make a motion to approve R-17-82 for adoption.
I'll second.
Motion was made by Commissioner Taylor and seconded by Mayor Bauer to approve resolution number R-17-82 for adoption. Mayor Bauer,
Aye.
Commissioner Castler,
Aye.
Commissioner Taylor,
Aye.
Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chuck.
Thank you, Chuck.
Item number 8, discussion on the former community health clinic located at 600 Union. I assume Mr. Francis is going to give us an update on this.
Yeah, Mayor and Commissioners, as you're aware, we have had listed the former community health center, which is the east half of this building. We've had it listed for sale or lease for the majority of the year. And last week I was approached by the county to look at that facility as a possible new home for the county health clinic. And they looked at it and, obviously asked some questions about some things, and they were going to discuss it and possibly come back with to make an offer. Since that time, they had reached out to Commissioner Williams regarding the facility, and they were, I think they still have some interest in the facility, but at what price I don't know. Tonight is kind of, because I do not have any kind of offer from them specifically. It's a little bit of a discussion as to your preferences on how we would approach this situation. Currently, well, let's see, this facility was built with grant funds, I believe, and so other than the upkeep on the facility and utilities for it, I guess the city is incurring no cost with it right now. You know, ideally, we'd like to see some revenue being generated from the facility. I think in talks with the county commissioners that they'd like to explore either some kind of long-term lease or something similar to what we do with the third floor of City Hall, which basically is, you know, a long-term lease with no rent and some wording in the contract as far as maintenance. Quite honestly, that doesn't benefit the city in any way. You know, so, you know, my preference would still be that we would look to sell the facility for, you know, whatever. Currently, it's listed at $250,000. That's what the asking price is. The rental price is $3,500, I believe, if you were to rent the entirety of the approximately 8,000 square feet, or it could be subdivided into two smaller parcels, and at $1,500 and $2,000, I think. So I guess just kind of need to feel you out on how you would kind of like to proceed. Would you like to see the county present something official? I feel like I'm kind of just kind of spinning my wheels here.
I'd like to make a few comments.
First of all, you're not spinning your wheels. We need to talk about it.
Yeah.
This is the place, right?
Yeah.
So you're not spinning your wheels.
First of all, I'd like to make a couple comments. I was reached out to by Commissioner Ryan York, which is commissioner on the Montgomery County Commission. Basically, you're right that it does not benefit the city of Coffeyville to basically allow it to be leased for a low sum of money. You're absolutely right. However, it does benefit the city of Coffeyville and the southern half of Montgomery County to have a health department in Coffeyville. It is my understanding that they are making a very hard decision and considering taking the health department out of the city of Coffeyville, much like they did the driver's license and all the county offices that used to be down here, county attorney's office and so on and so forth. So the thing is it does benefit the city of Coffeyville to have that here in Coffeyville. It doesn't benefit the city monetarily, but it benefit, you know what, I stand corrected. It does not benefit the city of Coffeyville to have it here. It benefits the citizens of the city of Coffeyville and the citizens of the southern part of Montgomery County to have a health department in Coffeyville. I think what they were trying to do is trying to find a way that they can keep that entity here in Coffeyville and make it, you know, basically a lease option to where they could lease it for a small amount of money, just like you said, like the City Hall or the third floor over at City Hall. The difference is that Coffeyville is required by state statute to provide that space over at City Hall for court and court offices, where this is going to be up to the commission on whether or not they want to keep that entity here in Coffeyville. I don't have any problem renting it to or leasing it to the county to keep that here. And the thing is I think that, and I just want to throw this out, basically if we rent this for sell it or whatever to the county, we're taking a chunk of tax money and just simply moving it to another entity. Because what they're gonna pay us with is tax money. So we're paying ourselves to be in the building, which, you know, and really, and I discussed it with you, they do have a bigger chunk of folks to collect taxes from, but it goes back to, we need to cooperate, and we're all in it together. And the thing is by doing this or leasing it to a you know, for a small amount, for a long-term lease, we're cooperating with another government agency in our county to try to keep a benefit or a service here in Coffeyville in the southern half of Montgomery County. So in my mind, I think it would be beneficial for the city to consider either renting this, or not renting, but leasing this as a long-term lease for a small amount of money. In that lease, it would be spelled out that the county's responsible for the maintenance and upkeep of said building. And when I was talking to Commissioner York, they said that they are 100% in favor with keeping the Senior Citizen Center right here in this building at this location up and running. The difference is if we were to sell it for however much that we sell it for to, say, a private entity, right now, if it's on the market, that private entity could come in and they could say, we want the entire building and the senior citizens need to be moved, and then we would be forced to try to relocate our seniors from this building and provide them with an activity center. And obviously, they like coming here or they wouldn't come here. So that's my position on that.
That's fine with me. I don't have a problem with leasing it.
Well, you know, the biggest thing is the last thing Coffeyville needs to do is lose more jobs. And I don't know how many people are employed at that facility right now, but we don't need to lose any more. We need to gain jobs. So
Okay, so, no, go ahead.
this is just for discussion, so I mean,
Right.
it's
Right.
like we're voting on anything right now.
We're not
We
voting on
just-
anything.
I think we need to get the
And again,
input to Kendall.
they haven't come forward and really
Fair
said
enough.
anything.
So
Right.
I guess one of my first question, maybe my only question is how many people have we had look at that building since we put it for sale?
Half a dozen, probably.
How many people have shown any true interest in it, though?
Probably two.
Yeah.
What's the value on the building, Kendall?
It's valued to sell at $250,000.
Okay. Now, do they have any money? I mean, I'd like to have lunch with them, maybe you and me and Kendall, or, I'd like to have a discussion with them a little bit. I mean, they ought to be here, and they're not. Maybe we ought to just have a meeting with them.
Well, and I think,
You know,
I can visit with them about coming and
Yeah.
having a
We
discussion,
need to know
making a
more.
proposal.
We need to know more. I mean, it's an asset, and we want to keep them, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Need to know more. Need to know, this is the first time we've discussed it.
I agree. I think
No.
just have them come present to us, and
Yeah.
this is what we want, this is what we want to do, and this is
I-
what we can do. And then, yeah.
I'd like to know more about the situation. Where else would they go? I'd like to know more about what they do, because I really don't know. And I'd like to visit with you a little bit later about it.
Okay.
I don't know if we need to get into all the details tonight. The public needs to know what's going on, yes, but, and this is a
But
good
I'll be
place to
honest,
talk
I
about.
don't know a lot of details.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, we need to talk to them. I think we need to try to keep them here, obviously.
Yeah.
There's
Well,
a
and that's
consensus.
definitely a benefit.
Right.
Commissioner Williams is right. It's
Right.
actually, it's absolutely a benefit to have it, to
And-
the
and-
citizens to have that here.
And this, Ryan York came to you. Did you know him? I mean,
Yeah, he's your county commissioner.
right. And
Um,
I mean, he
one
came
of
to
your
talk
county-
to you.
One of your
And I'd
county
like to know a little
commissioner.
bit more. I mean, we just need to know more. I don't have a problem with it. I'd like to know more. It's a deal. It's an asset. It's a pretty nice building. And I'd like to know more about this building and that building. I've never been over in there in that building.
I have one other question. If this building were to sell tomorrow to a private entity, where would we move the senior citizen center to?
We have no intention of selling this portion. We would write in a common wall policy into the sale. This
So-
facility would remain.
So basically, we're only selling half of a building.
Yeah, we're selling that eastern half. Yeah,
Okay.
about 8,000 square feet.
And that's 8,000, that's what, is that, and that's priced at 250?
Is the 250, yes.
So they feel that they're gonna have enough employees to fill the whole thing, cause I've been inside that, and it's a pretty big facility. They feel they're gonna have enough employees, enough.
Just in the time that I walked around, is it bigger than they have? Yes. They thought that, I believe it was the county health nurse, and the name escapes me, but she thought that, that she could utilize that space. I know she mentioned, needing a, kind of an open area for WIC, one of the services that they're providing. So I guess that's
So,
on them to decide if
did they have any money to buy anything, or?
Who, the county?
No, the community health clinic.
No, that's where it was located. Community Health Center was located there. It's-
Okay,
This is the health department.
okay, it says discussion of the former community health clinic,
Right.
is all it says here.
Yeah, this is, what it is Montgomery County
Okay,
is wanting to put the health department over.
okay, Montgomery County Health,
That-
okay.
that-
Currently located at,
Yeah, in South Walnut.
right, South
So who would actually take over, or who would maintain this building, and who would lease the building would be Montgomery County.
I got you.
So that's why I said if we're going to, like you said, sell it, well, yeah, they got money, they got your money, they got my money, it's all tax money.
Right,
So-
well, I understand,
So we're just gonna take it out of one tax pot and put it in the other.
yeah. Well, we represent Coffeyville, and they represent county, and it's a negotiation. It sounds like a doable deal, and we need to talk to them, Kendall. You're the city manager.
Yep.
We need to just work on it. It sounds doable.
I mean, we could be prepared for something at the next meeting, I'm certain.
And
Yeah.
Paul, you've seen some of this kind of legality finagling going on in your life. What, you got any comments, or is there?
You don't wanna talk to him, he represents the county.
I would like to see the health center stay here,
Okay,
if we could bring this thing on.
right, okay. There you go. Okay,
Thank you.
well, we'll work on this, Ken. You'll work on it, and
Yep.
we'll talk about it, and,
I had indicated to Commissioner Brown that I would visit with him after tonight.
Good.
Fred?
Yes.
Good.
All right. Any other questions?
No, sir.
All right. City managers report.
Mayor and Commissioners, just a few things to cover. First, I'd like to thank Pete Olson, who has filled in tonight for us with video and sound. Our normal IT people are not available tonight, and so Pete got a crash course in this afternoon, along with myself and Cindy a little bit as to the operations here, and so he was able to keep us on the air, and apparently we don't have any problems. I haven't heard anything different. So, also, obviously we've already
Got any texts?
shared the good news that we received $400,000 Safe Routes to School grant. We were notified of that earlier this week, or excuse me, the end of last week, and so that's something this was the phase 2 grant, the largest. It was the maximum amount awarded, so we're moving forward with that project. Kudos to Chuck Shipley and his staff. They were the lead on that project, and we were partnered with USD 445. I know, I believe Tim Heflin was kind of their lead. I mean, but Dr. Krell and his staff, many of them were involved in gathering information and data that was necessary for this grant. So it's something I know that the city has been striving for quite some time, and so we're we're pleased to be able to have that. Nothing out of the ordinary to report on our buildings. They continue to move along nicely. I would say that we're still on the same schedule that we've discussed earlier. Nothing that, other than rain is preventing us from getting much work done concrete-wise on parking lots at the Emergency Services Building. Would like to let the citizens know that the police department's SOT we'll be doing some training Friday down at the range. So from 8 to noon at the firing range here on South Walnut. You're going to hear probably more activity than normal, so people don't be overly concerned about that. Also let you know that household hazardous waste pickup is going to be October 21st, and it will be from 8 to 1 right down here in the parking lot behind Cox Communication. And now that's the county's hazardous waste collection. But going on right now, we have the annual citywide cleanup. It's already began yesterday. Will run through next Sunday. So we're having some extended hours at the tree dump. Monday through Friday, hours are 10 to 6. Saturday is 8 to 4, and Sunday is 12 to 4. And then if you need some assistance getting your stuff to the tree dump, you can call the Red Cross at 251-1050. Give them your name and address, let them know what you're going to have, and I'm trying to put together a group of volunteers that will go around on Saturday morning to collect that and haul it to the tree dump. It's something we've done for the last couple of years. And so if you would like to volunteer, you can show up Saturday morning at the fire station, and we'll disperse from there, and usually takes a couple hours to get those things picked up and
what
help
time?
out some people that need some assistance.
What time at the fire station?
8 a.m.
8 a.m.
And then just a little reminder that tomorrow night we do have the league's regional supper. Not tomorrow night, excuse me, Thursday night. Cindy was looking at me. Thursday night, the 12th. It'll be right here at 6 o'clock. And one final thing, John Hufford came a couple of meetings ago and mentioned the Veterans Parade that they are starting here in Coffeyville. It'll be November 11th, be Veterans Day. We're going to have a parade and some events up at the Court of Valor that morning. But they're looking for veterans who would like to participate, either ride on a float or something in the parade. And so if you are interested, if you're a veteran or you're a family of a veteran and you want some more information, if you would contact John Hufford, 252-9281. He asks that you would leave a message because he's not always able to answer that number. But it's hard to have a Veterans Day parade if you don't have a lot of veterans, so we're trying to recruit that. And then also the offer was made to you as a commission. If you would like to participate in that parade, if you could let me know, I'll arrange transportation for you. Again, it is actually Veterans Day, Saturday the 11th. The parade starts at 1 o'clock. The events will actually start about 10 o'clock up at the Court of Valor, but the parade begins at 1 o'clock downtown.
Okay.
Cover it?
That covers.
All right.
Okay, so back to that, well, I guess I'll wait and ask my questions. I do have a couple more
Okay.
questions about the Montgomery County Clinic. Where is that now? Where is that now?
South Walnut, just
Just down the street.
just down the
Is
street.
that in the old Weinberg's building? Is that?
The next block.
Next
Next block south.
Yeah.
It's just south of the tavern.
tavern.
And
that next
Yeah, that's the old Weinberg's building.
Yes, yeah, it is.
No, that Weinberg's is back this
South?
direction.
No,
Oh, it's the old Weinberg's
Yeah.
building. You're right. You're
Yeah,
absolutely
okay,
right.
okay.
It's the-
Yeah.
yeah.
I think it was, yeah, one time. But
Yeah.
That's a long
Yeah,
time.
Yeah.
And before you guys' time, you know.
No, I remember going there when I was young.
Okay,
It was, right.
yeah,
who knows that, Chris?
okay.
You're absolutely right. It was.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. I hadn't been in there for a while. I guess we all need to go get a flu shot, I guess.
Yeah.
So they don't work that many people there. How many people they work in there? 3 or 4 or 5?
I truly don't know.
Yeah, I think there's more questions than answers right now.
Yeah, right,
Regarding the
right.
subject, so.
Okay. All righty.
Okay, at this time, we'll open comments to the public. The public is free to comment on items not listed on the agenda. Please address comments to the commission as a body and be mindful of others who may also wish to speak by limiting your comments to 3 minutes.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, Jim Faulkner, 1014 West 3rd, and I'd like to speak to the property rental standards that Commissioner Williams raised at the previous commission meeting. It's going to be up to you, but this very well could be a can you might want to kick down the road to the next commission for the following reasons. Currently, Chapter 8 of our Code of Ordinances, which deals with buildings, has extensive documentation on dwelling requirements, but as a city manager would attest, they're not as detailed as they could be, and some are rather vague and open to interpretation by both inspectors and property owners. Second point is, I personally feel that there's a lack of teeth in the ordinance when it comes to addressing violations. Third point, historically, enforceability has been an issue due to a lack of staff to adequately police the ordinance. Now, at the present time, we have one code enforcement officer to cover the entire city, to do everything. And as I understand the budget for 2018, there was a second position that was eliminated. And you may discover that the scope of a project such as this one, in terms of creating a system that enforces the kinds of ordinance, that enforces the ordinance that you may be proposing, it's going to take a dedicated individual because it's going to be a huge undertaking. So because of that, I would recommend that each of you, or have it, the new commission, needs to do an absolute, very thorough, detailed review of Chapter 8 of our Code of Ordinances, and then modify the existing ordinance to accomplish the desired goals rather than creating an entire new ordinance that may very well create a confusion between the old and the new. So that's just my take on the issue. Thank you.
Well, Jim, thank you
Thank
for
you, Jim.
bringing this forward. And I want to talk about it some more at some point in time.
I have asked some of the commissioners before about this, but I would like to have a work session on this, and if the other candidates want to come to that and speak to mine, but I feel there's just so much to do with this.
Right, right.
We don't know. I know we're not a big fan of work sessions, but something this big, I think deserves our time and attention, and not to take away, and we're not add to a meeting that's already.
Oh, I would agree that it's gonna take some real thought.
Right.
Absolutely
Consensus on
is.
doing that? Are you guys okay with doing that?
Well, yeah, I'm okay with it, and I love what Jim said, kick the can down the road. We really got to study this thing.
Yeah.
There's a lot to it. There's a lot in this letter here, October 6th letter from city manager. It's all right here. And I haven't had time to do all this. I mean, this thing's been around for years, and I think we need to look at it. Peggy Steele brought it up. Okay, fine. If there's some problems, we need to look at it. It's a big one. I don't really feel like we've got the money in our budget, kind of money we've spent lately. I don't think we've got the money to do anything right now, but I'm not saying we don't. I'm not saying we do. This is a big one. I like, Marcus, a work session.
Yep.
And I think it's going to be into the next year really looking at this thing, because it's a big one. I don't know if it's so urgent we have to do something about it real quick.
Well, Commissioner
Make the right
Taylor,
choices.
if I might interject, when somebody tells me we don't, and when I hear, they say, we don't have the money to do that. We don't have the money to tear down blighted houses. We don't have money for a second position. We don't have money to do this or that. my response has always been, yes, we do have the money. It's a matter of priorities.
Right.
And what's most important, what fires need to be put out first, and where do these different projects fall out
Right.
in the budgeting process?
Right. I've been through the budget project. I agree with you.
Because
So-
with a limited amount of dollars,
Right.
you can't do everything you want to do right
Right,
now. So
right,
it is
right.
a matter of priorities. So
Right.
don't say, we don't have the money to do it. We do. It's a matter of priorities.
Okay, well, you can spend it any way you want. I agree with you. Okay? And I'm glad you came forward with it, Jim.
All right, thank you.
Okay,
Thank
Lawson?
you.
Jim, I have one question for you.
Sir.
And I know this isn't the time to engage in basically questions, but I'm going to have a question of history. You were here before me?
I was.
So, last time this issue was brought up, what happened?
The last time the issue came up, actually, I was the one who brought it up, and to members of the former commission. And at that point in time, I was told in no uncertain terms that there was not enough support either on the commission at that point in time or in the community in order to enforce such an ordinance for several reasons. So it died on the vine. And I was basically told to forget it, be quiet, it's not going to work. And I was also told at that time that that was not the first time it had come up, but it has in fact been raised periodically over the last several years. So we go through cycles of proposing it, it dies, proposing it, it dies, but it always dies at the informal level.
So I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, there's a lot of issues here in this October 6th letter I referred to. There's a lot of history. I was sitting in the audience last night at the KGGF candidate forum. You were there, you were there, you were there. And someone leans over to me and says, what are we going to do with the people when this house is brought and we got to kick them out? What are we going to do? There's more questions than there are answers. Like Marcus said, we need a work session. It's a can of worms.
Yep.
I said that at the last meeting, and it's going to have to be looked at really well. So,
Well, to address the issue that you just mentioned, and that's come up before as well. And prior to the meeting, our city clerk even mentioned it. My recommendation there is that when the changes, and the way I'm hearing it is these changes will eventually take place, they need to take place in an evolutionary method rather than a revolutionary method, so that the changes take place over time, and it's not a economic shock to both renters and landlords.
Right.
it makes sense, Jim. Thank you.
Yep,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
So that's a good question, Jim. What do other cities do?
Well, that's what we talked about. We talked about that last meeting we had when that question was asked. We're going to have to look into it.
Those are things we're still trying to find answers to. That is a concern of mine.
And the question, I'm just saying that this happens, and these ordinances and these regulations are enforced all across the country in different communities. So that question's already been answered by someone. We just need to find the answer.
Right, right.
And the thing is that it need not be so convoluted that we have to appoint a think tank to try to figure out what to do with these questions that come up. We don't need to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah.
It's already been done. We just need to we need the information. What do they do?
Well, Jim was just saying it's addressed in Chapter 8. Thank you, Jim. What else we got?
Any other questions from the public? Seeing none, we'll move on to comments from the commissioners and staff. Who would like to start?
I don't have any questions or comments.
I have some.
Go ahead.
On the emergency services building, I see it's going along good, but speaking for myself, I would like to be able to go in just look around, see the progress. I haven't been able to do that.
Okay, I can
Just, you know,
schedule a time to,
monthly progress stuff, just to go in and look. I know I like to be aware of what's going on. 'Cause I have people ask me how's it going and stuff. I only see the outside, so I'd like to be able to report to people, hey, this is what's going on. Looks good here, here, and here. So I'd
okay,
like
you
to-
just need to let me know. We'll
Okay.
figure out a time to take you over there.
I saw there's a sign out front. This may be a silly question, but do we have a name for the facility? Is it gonna be Coffeyville?
Cuffville Emergency Services?
Yes.
Yes.
I just wondered what
Yeah.
that was. And lastly, on that subject, the subject came up about the light at KDOT
Mm-hmm.
not letting us have that. Can you kind of expound on that? Because I know there's a lot of questions about why we didn't get it. And
I think, simply put, they told us we didn't fit their parameters. I think it has to do with traffic count. They did a traffic study. And it was their determination that we didn't qualify for a stoplight. And I think a little bit has to do with our proximity to a stoplight there at Buckeye. So what we will be doing, we'll be installing flashers. They'll look similar to the ones you see at the alert you to the school crosswalks. And they'll be located east and west of the facility. Obviously, they'll have either a fire truck or it'll say fire station or something. Those will be activated from the facility when a call is received, and will alert people that something's about to happen. I guess that's kind of where that's at.
is there
Guess-
sorry.
No, you're okay.
Is it enough to cover us in case someone doesn't pay
Runs
attention
into the side of a fire truck.
to the sights and sounds? Because I know I've done some ride-alongs with the police department, and I've seen people not pay attention to sirens. So would that cover us enough if someone doesn't?
I would say it would cover you in any instance. Currently now, we have our emergency vehicles have the right of way through traffic signals and things like that we would have the same coverage as we would now.
I guess my only question around that is, how did we not know that we wouldn't qualify before we built that building in that spot, that we would not qualify for a stoplight for there? I mean, to me, I would have thought that would have been something we would have done from the very onset of the project. I mean, because my feeling is we need a stoplight there, because to Marcus's point, there's gonna be cars flying through there, and 45 miles an hour, we don't like people to speed, but it happens. And at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, drive past that area, it's busy, both directions. People are getting off work from Spears, coming to Coffeyville, getting off work from in town and driving to Caney and things like that. I mean, that stoplight at 11th and Buckeye will be backed up to
Yeah.
the insurance company.
Well, we talked about it. It was discussed, you weren't here.
Right.
This commission talked about where to put that building, long and hard.
I don't disagree
And
where it was.
the light in that deal never came out, okay?
Right.
We'll be honest,
Yeah.
we didn't, when we were discussing that was not something that came up. I guess maybe obviously in hindsight, maybe that should have been,
Yeah.
we should have engaged KDOT
Yeah.
early on.
I'd like to speak on this. Chuck, help me out. Appeal it.
Pardon me?
Who told us that we couldn't have a stoplight there?
KDOT.
Appeal it. Send them a letter. Appeal it. And tell them, and Chuck, help me out. They denied a stoplight at 11th and Newark in Coffeyville. And it took someone, a fatality accident at that intersection, to get them to put a light there. In your letter, ask them if it's going to take a fatality accident at this location to get them to put a light there.
Well,
We need to appeal the decision, and if not, we need to contact our representative at the state and ask them to talk to KDOT.
And
I mean,
we
my
can.
feeling behind it is,
The-
I feel like that too, that we
The,
need to
the thing is
step-
that we need to put some pressure and we just need not drop it right here. Because we need a light there. In my opinion, and I think in everybody's opinion here,
I think we do.
we want to appeal it, send some letters, get our state reps to talk to some folks. We need to continue forward. I don't want it dropped here. How about you guys?
No, I mean, the last thing we need is a semi running into the side of a fire truck.
Am I right on the,
You can change their minds.
right? But I mean,
They have their set guidelines, and that's what they go by.
but it took a fatality though at 11th and Luark to get them to change their mind. And the thing is that we don't want that to be the case here. We want to prevent accidents, not have an accident try to dictate what, I mean, obviously, you're going to have emergency vehicles pulling out on a busy highway. I think that we just need not drop it here.
And maybe, I mean, there's got to be some way it could be a controlled stoplight where it stays green 99% of the time, except for when it, I don't know, if somebody flips a switch or we drive, you know, a light beam, when they run a truck out the door, it changes to red.
Really?
I mean, it doesn't have to be a stop light per se,
No, it
like a
would-
general
I mean, our-
intersection.
Like a
Our
railroad
request,
signal.
our request would
Exactly.
was something that would be activated by the fire department when they were responding to a call, not just when the doors open, because it'd be all the time.
Right. They break a light beam when they go through and it
Like
flips
the
the,
dispatcher gets it.
But I
Right.
think if, in that scenario, we're having a blinky yellow light, right?
Yes.
Because a blinky red light would be a
Well,
stoplight. It would be no different than a
yeah, it
a
is
flashing red light.
it is a warning light, yes.
Right. And what we desire is, I think your idea is absolutely beautiful. They turn it on inside the, where, you know, the fire department, when they're getting ready to get in their trucks and take off to a fire or emergency. But the thing is that light, in my opinion, needs to be a red stoplight. And it needs, you know, it just could be on a timer to where it shuts off after they exit the building and
got
get
to
to.
be enough technology out there. that-
You know, I will say, Representative Kelly has offered to reach out, you know, on our behalf if, you know, at our request. So, I mean, we'll pursue those options.
Good. Thank you.
Thanks.
Lastly, just.
Well, you know, we work on it, you know, legally, politically. You know, later, we are concerned about an accident. You get that going and work all angles we can,
Yep.
you know. Then when we have the accident, and someone does get hurt, then we go back to them then and say, hey, we're having accidents. You put a little more pressure on them that way. I'm sure this has been done
And-
100,000 times, okay? You know.
not rewriting.
Unfortunately, there is, you know, accidents do factor into
Right.
their equation.
Right.
Yeah.
Sorry. Last before I'm done, Coffeyville Cares, a group that I'm affiliated with, is going to be doing a registration drive with Viva La Ville, just to get people who aren't registered yet, to be able to get registered. Now the deadline is, what, 17th, Cindy?
Yes.
We're doing that. I've also, we are also opening an invitation to city candidates who want to sit at a separate table and meet and greet those folks who are going to be voting for them. So that if they want to ask questions on a personal level, they may be able to do that. We are trying, it is my goal, and to raise our voter rate past what it is right now, which is pretty low.
Okay, clarification, only city candidates? City commission candidates, not school board and/or
No.
school board?
All of it,
Okay.
yes.
All candidates. Good. Any other questions from the commission? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Man,
Aye.
8 o'clock, 6:30, hour and a half meeting. Hallelujah.